All right, let's do a quick Scrum overview. And when I say quick, I mean this is going to be quick. This is going to go fast. The idea here is just to create some context, make sure we're all talking about the same stuff. If you're looking for a longer overview of Scrum, you might want to check out the first module of my Real World Scrum with Team Foundation Server 2013 class. Check out the first module. It's a 45-minute intro to Scrum without a whole bunch of stuff about Team Foundation Server. If you're looking for a complete course on Scrum, check out David Starr's Scrum Fundamentals class. It's in the library. It's a full-length introduction to Scrum. So that said, how well do you know Scrum? Are you a little bit fuzzy on some stuff? Okay, just go check that stuff out, and I'm going to wait right here. All right, all set? Great. Well, Scrum is an agile methodology. All right, what does that mean? Agile is a way of thinking about software development. So how do we actually do it? What's the process like? It's just a way of thinking about it. And that grew out of something called the Agile Manifesto. Agile Manifesto was authored in February 2001, and it's got 4 core values where you're going to favor one thing over something else. So, Agile Manifesto is saying favor individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. Okay, great, but that doesn't really tell you how to do a whole lot though, does it? So where Agile is a mindset, Scrum is an actual set of dance steps. So Agile is how do you think about the space, and Scrum is like, okay, here's how you dance. Let's talk about the big pieces of Scrum. Scrum is typically organized into 3 different pieces: roles, artifacts, and events. Scrum roles, the roles are people. You've got the product owner, development team, and the Scrum Master. Scrum artifacts are the things in Scrum: product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment. The increment is the done working software that you ship at the end of the sprint. Then you've got the events. These are the meetings and time boxes that everything happens in Scrum. The big one is the sprint. So the sprint is the container for everything. You also have a sprint planning meeting, a daily Scrum meeting, and the sprint review meeting, wrapping it all up with the sprint retrospective meeting. All right, next up is the product owner and the product backlog. So the product owner is a role. Product owner owns something called the product backlog. Product backlog is an artifact, and this thing is made up of product backlog items. I'm going to abbreviate those as PBIs. And this is a list of every feature that has ever been dreamed up for this product. And it's prioritized. So the things that are highest priority are towards the top, and the stuff that's low priority is towards the bottom. Product owner decides the contents and the priorities on the product backlog. Now, it's important to point out that the product owner is one and only one person. It's not 2, it's not 0, it's not 50, it's 1. It's always 1. There is 1 product owner per team. Then we've got the development team. This is another role. This is all the people that are needed to do the work. It's 3 to 9 people, and it's developers, testers, business analysts, DBAs, etc., etc., etc. Whoever it takes to get the work done, they're on the team. Then we've got the Scrum Master role. This is 1 person. There's only 1 rule. Anyone except for the product owner can be the Scrum Master. This person is a facilitator. It's the coach. They're helping the team to be productive. The Scrum Master is the sworn mortal enemy of impediments. An impediment is anything that slows the team down. And if there's something slowing the team down, the team is potentially not being productive, and the Scrum Master wants to make sure that that impediment is gone so that the team goes back to full productivity. Then we've got the sprint. It's another event. This is the container in which everything happens. So I sometimes are going to say the time box. So the time box is a way of saying that something takes a certain amount of time. Well, the sprint is 30 days or less. So everything else that happens inside of the sprint, and the output of this is something called the increment, which is another artifact. The increment is the done working software. We have the sprint planning meeting, which is another event. It's the first thing that happens in the sprint. The team is going to come together with the product owner and the Scrum Master, and they're going to choose the items from the product backlog that the team thinks are doable. What can they likely achieve inside this sprint? They're then going to create a plan for turning those PBIs, the selected PBIs, into the increment. The output of this is that plan. the sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is the list of all the product backlog items that the team is going to do in this sprint, plus their plan of attack for how they're going to turn it into done working software. Then we have the daily Scrum meeting. Daily Scrum meeting is a meeting that happens once a day that is for and by the development team. It's 15 minutes or less, and the idea here is to create situational awareness. Situational awareness means that everyone on the team understands what's going on. They're going to review progress towards delivering that done working software, and they're going to create a plan for the day that gets them ideally closer to delivering that done working software. If there are any impediments, they should discuss them in this meeting. Sprint review, second to the last thing that happens in the sprint, typically happens on the last day of the sprint. Everybody is invited. The idea here is that you're going to show off the done working software and gather feedback. This meeting really more than anything is about gathering feedback. Then we have the retrospective. This is the last thing that happens in the sprint. Product owner, development team, Scrum Master, they're all there. They're going to discuss what went well in the sprint, what didn't go so well in the sprint, and what could they improve for the next sprint. The idea here is that you're going to limit your mistakes to a single sprint and continuously improve. So one of the great things about Scrum is that you pause once per sprint. You look at how things went, how things were good and how they were bad. And if something was not going well, you're going to stop doing it. You limit your mistakes to a single sprint. All right, in review, big pieces of Scrum. You got the roles, product owner, Scrum Master, and development team. The artifacts, product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment. And then you have your events. The sprint planning meeting, daily Scrum, sprint review, and the sprint retrospective. Next up, I'm going to give you some suggestions on how you might tighten up your existing Scrum practices.